if you see anyone who's wearing this, that's, you know, a sign of them having like, you know, an illness and stuff like that. So just raising awareness and even just supporting those people who have invisible illnesses to know, like, to have like that support and know that it's okay, and you know, you can get up and you can do things if you want to, you know, even if you don't want, that's fine as well, but just knowing that there is support out there.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Inspired By, with me, your host, Manjit Nija. Thank you for joining me again this week. I really appreciate the time you guys take out to watch the videos, leave your comments, and hopefully you're getting inspired by the people who inspire me. So this week, I've got a young lady by the name of Kaveeta and I. Kaveeta and I met last year during lockdown, actually. We haven't actually physically met, we virtually met. Through a group called AWMB, Asian Women in Business, which is set up by the amazing Rupinder. And within that, Rupinder set up another group called the Inspire Club, which is where I met Kaveeta. And we kind of hit it off, as you do. And then I got into, wanted to do a vision board, and I didn't know how to do it. I'd kind of thought about it on and off for years. And I used to think, oh, they're for other people, they're not really for me. But then I got more and more into it. I was like, okay, this sounds good. And then I bought a book about it. And the next thing I knew, Kaveeta sent out a post saying, I'm doing some free sessions on vision boarding. And I thought, okay, read a book. Somebody who knows how to do it, which one shall I go with? It was a no-brainer, really. Got in contact with Kaveeta, and there's my vision board at the back. You can just see it. And so, yeah, she is an amazing young lady. She's a blogger. And she's learning more and more and more about the law of attraction. So I'm not going to stop rattling on now. I'm going to actually bring her in on the conversation. So Kaveeta, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it.
I'm honoured that you've got me on here, and I'm really grateful, so thank you.
Do you know what? I find you so inspiring, and I think a lot of other people will as well. I know you don't see yourself as anybody inspiring. You just do what you do. But you are a very special young lady, and you hold a very special place in my heart. You know, before we get to kind of like one of the reasons I find you so inspiring, tell us a little bit about yourself, from where you were born, you know, where you grew up, family background, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I live in a place called Crawley. It's near Gatwick Airport. Unfortunately, right now we can't even go away. So living next to an airport is just like, oh. And I've lived here all my life. I haven't moved anywhere. I actually haven't even moved house. So I've been in the same house for like 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So I have a mum, my dad, and a brother. My brother lives, he doesn't live in the house, but he only lives like 5 minutes down the road. And yeah, so just the four of us, and we've just been living in a small town called Crawley all our lives.
Yeah, no, that's cool, because some people don't move, you know. I mean, the house that I'm in, my husband, he's been married previously, so him and the kids have been here for 22, 23 years. They've never moved, which I found a bit strange, because as kids we moved like every 5 to 6 years or something like that when I was growing up. So so you're settled in where you are, and so on, you know the area and so on, local friends, all that kind of stuff. So what were you like growing up? What were you like as a child? What would your mum say? If I asked your mum or your dad, what was Kaveeta like when she was little? What do you think they would say?
Do you know what? It was really funny, actually, because the other day we were watching home videos, and you know when you just see yourself as a kid, and I think like at the age of like about 5 to 6, I was just this like sassy kid that did my own thing, and just I guess like was the centre of attention of everything. And like now looking back, I'm like, that's like the last thing I would want to do, is be the centre of attention. So it's really funny, like just watching me how I was as a kid to now. But I think back then I did have a lot of confidence. And I also was like, I mean, at school, I was this like quiet kid, good. And then at home is where I like, used to open up again. So I think I was like really quiet at school. And then like at home, I was just comfortable in my own environment and I was like sassy.
Yeah.
And then it's just really funny looking back and thinking, oh, wow, like I was quite sassy. I was quite confident.
Well, you're getting there again. So I've seen you open up in the last year. You're flowering and blossoming, and which is amazing to watch. So, one of the reasons I find you inspiring or so inspiring, and there's many, but the biggest reason is I can't pronounce it. Okay, the condition that you live with on a day-to-day basis. Can you explain to anybody who's watching what it actually is?
Yeah, sure. It's funny you say that because I couldn't even pronounce until like 2 years ago. But it's so my heart condition is actually called Pulmonary Atresia Ventricular Septal Defect.
Wow, that's a long name.
Yeah. That's why it took me so long to like learn it. And essentially like what that means is I was born without a pulmonary artery. So that's like the main artery that flows like blood to your heart and your lungs. And luckily I've been born with a lot of little arteries that just about supply enough blood to the lungs and heart.
Okay.
So essentially without them I wouldn't be here. And I live on 80% of oxygen. So if you were to breathe like me right now, you would feel very, very unwell, or some people are like unconscious or just, can't catch their breath. But that's just how my body has developed. So without the pulmonary artery, the blue blood and the red blood mix. So the deoxygenated and the oxygenated blood mix. That's why I'm low on oxygen.
Okay.
And then I have a hole in my heart as well. So yeah, that's essentially, it's quite rare.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So when did this, how did this get highlighted? How did your parents find out? How did you find out about this?
So my parents didn't actually find out until I was 6 weeks. So they didn't actually know I had anything wrong with me when I was born. So they actually found out when I was 6 weeks old. My auntie was the one who noticed that when my mum was feeding me through the bottle, I was getting quite like out of breath. And I was like going blue in my face, my lips. And my auntie's brother like passed away, and I think he had similar symptoms like she used to notice. So she said to my mum, I think you should go and get it checked out. My mum had gone to the doctors a couple of times and said, this is what's happening, these are symptoms that are coming up. And the doctors just told her that she's an anxious mother and there's nothing wrong with me. And they didn't even check me, they didn't even put a stethoscope to my heart. It was just, don't worry, you're just anxious, it's a newborn, it's fine, like just go home.
Like that's pretty bad, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really bad.
Children who may have some sort of condition and it doesn't get diagnosed further on down the line, in which case, luckily for you it wasn't too late, but for somebody it may well be too late.
Yes, it is. It can be. I mean, so when it was my paediatrician 6-week checkup actually, which I literally owe that lady my life, because, and I still keep in contact with her today, which is lovely. But she was the one who actually picked it up. because my mum had told her everything. And all she did was put a stethoscope to my heart and rush me straight to hospital, because she knew I had a murmur in my heart, and she knew straight away. She rushed me to hospital. And my mum actually did ask her, she said, you know, if I did leave it, and she said, even if you left it for a day or two, I don't think I would have survived, or I would have had a brain hemorrhage because of the fluid building up in my lungs.
Yeah.
So it was I mean, yeah, I'm so thankful to God for being here, because that would have been absolutely devastating for my parents.
No, absolutely. It would have been horrendous.
Yeah.
You know, this beautiful little baby, and then for that child to just not be there anymore. I can't imagine what that is like for anybody who has lost a child. You know, it's that you just think, you know, there but for the grace of God go I, kind of thing. And I really am humbled that my children are happy and healthy, you know. But so 6 weeks, you were 6 weeks old. That's when it was picked up and diagnosed. You were taken to hospital. Obviously you can't remember any of this. You were just a little baby. So,
I just remember what my parents have told me.
What did your parents say? What happened from then on?
So then on, I think I stayed in hospital for about 2 or 3 weeks, I think, was on medication. My mum's sister, so my mussy, was getting married then at the same time. So my mum was having to go to her sister's wedding while I was in hospital.
Oh, that must be
But like, you know, the doctors and nurses were so lovely, and this is what I've heard from my mum, and so they were always looking after me and saying, no, don't worry, like, she's in good hands, like, go. And so I think for my mum, it was a very stressful time for my mum and dad, because they, you know, obviously had a family wedding, and then they had me in hospital at the same time. And also my brother, who was like 4.5 years old. So yeah, it was a tough time, but I think after that I was just put on medication for about a couple of years, and then just had lots of hospital appointments just to keep checking. So that's all I kind of really know. I don't really know the.
How did it impact you? That's okay. How did it impact you growing up, like as a child, like going to school and sports, and just not even sports, just running around as a kid? How did it impact you?
Well, to be honest with you, I always
was like, normal. To you it was just
like, I always grew up as a kid like thinking I didn't have anything wrong with me. Already, like, I mean, I knew I had something wrong with me, but I think I was just always like, oh yeah, I'm gonna fit into the crowd kind of thing. So I never really thought of myself having a heart condition. But I think when I was younger, I did have a lot more energy. I actually was running around. I was actually doing a lot of things. So when I said to you, you know, when I was looking back at my childhood videos and stuff, I even like thought to myself, wow, like I have so much energy back then, like, you know, compared to now. So yeah, I was running around. I was partaking in sports and stuff. So yeah, it was quite easy. Like, it was an easy childhood. I didn't really see myself anything wrong. It didn't really affect me back then.
When did it start to impact you then? Because you said it didn't impact you back then. Did it start to make a difference in your life at some point?
So obviously I knew, like, my parents knew that I would have to like be operated on like in the future and stuff like that. And so when I think I was about 11 or 12 years old, I had my first op. So what this was, it was I was going to have essentially 3 operations, and then 2 were preparations for the major operations. The 2 were preparations of like trying to build like a pulmonary artery for me, and then the 3rd one was going to be that they would close the hole and put like a pig's valve or like a artificial valve to close the hole in my heart. But so I had the 2 preparations. I had that when I was 11, and I had another one when I was about 13 or 14. So I did have the preparations, but I didn't actually get to have the third one because they realised that if I did, my lungs could collapse, because it's not just my heart. It is like there is a lung condition as well.
Okay.
So, but it was necessary to do that operation because they said as I grow, my arteries will start to narrow. So they needed to make that decision there and then. And I think it was after those 2 operations that I did start realising I couldn't do a lot. And I was getting more and more out of breath. And, you know, like my mum does say to me, oh, you know, like I'm sorry that it, you know, we had to do that. And I was like, but you didn't have a choice, like, because when I, you know, the doctors did say like it would either be now or later on, and your arteries will start to narrow. So they, you know, it's like when you're dealt with that, you have to kind of just kind of go with it and just trust. And so, yeah, like after, I think that's when I started noticing after those 2 operations, when I was in secondary school, I didn't really participate in sports that much because I was actually going a bit more downhill. And
so how does it, I mean, you know, up until you had those operations, you were doing what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
You were fitting in, to use your words, fitting in, and there was no difference between you and any other child, really.
No.
And then you've had these operations, and then all of a sudden, or it gradually is kind of like, okay, I am getting out of breath quicker. I can't do as much as I was doing previously. How does that impact you mentally and emotionally? How did it impact you?
Do you know what? I think in secondary school it still didn't like impact me a lot, because I just genuinely thought that I had nothing wrong with me still. And I guess a part of me was not taking up the fact that I did have a heart condition. So it has taken me a long time just to actually accept, like, actually I do have a heart condition. And secondary school, yeah, I did slow down a lot. And that's, I think back then, yes, it did affect me because I knew that I had to slow down. But what I was doing was I was still trying to keep up with everyone. And saying, oh yeah, it'll be fine. So a part of me didn't accept the fact that I still had a heart condition.
But you were in denial about it.
Yeah, 100%. I was in denial.
At which point then was it like, okay, this is real?
I think, I guess, like when I started going into work life, it was work life, because I then started realizing that I was starting to slow down. I couldn't do a lot, and you know, just like, I think even like, you know, when you go to work and you have to climb the stairs and stuff like that, I was so in denial with myself that I felt like I had to keep up. But it was when I knew that I couldn't keep up, and I was so in denial and not realizing actually my health is suffering, that's when I was like, right, I need to kind of accept this, because it's not gonna magically go away. And I know I am suffering now more than ever before. So it was trying to, I think all the times that I tried to keep up with people and be like, yeah, I can go here, yeah, I can go there, it actually got to the point where I was like, you know what, I need to look after myself, because I'm actually getting drained, and I can't keep up anymore.
And how was it with employers? Because you're going to have
I had a lot of, I did have a lot of issues with some employers, only because one in particular, they wouldn't let me, they would tell me that I would have to take days off for my hospital appointments, which was, you know, fair enough. But I did say to them, look, can I make it up, or can I just take it as unpaid? And they were being really like, no, you can't. You can't do that. And I'm like, I have 7 days left of my holiday, and 4 of those days I'm actually going to hospital appointments. So I don't actually, you know, the other 3 days, what if I want to go on holiday? And they said, well, after your paid holidays get taken over, then yeah, we can't really stop you from going to hospital. And I'm like, yeah, but it's
they can't stop you going to hospital anyway.
Yeah.
Medical appointment.
Yes, and I kind of did like say to them, look, it's, you know, I will do anything. I will make up the time. I will take us unpaid, but they wouldn't budge. And I think and back then as well, I was going counselling because I was quite anxious and like going through depression and stuff. And they wouldn't even they said to me I'd have to go to my counselling appointment in my lunch hour. And so
all of this like lack of support,
it was a very
would have added onto everything else, onto your anxiety, your depression, and so on.
Yeah. And they put me under air conditioning, and I said, you can't put me under here because I'm really cold. It was just a lack of support, lack of training, even just little digs as well. Like I went to New York with my mum and my friend, and the employer said to me, oh, so you're feeling okay to go, like, were you okay on holiday then? And I said, yeah, I had my mum, and we didn't really, I didn't really do much. I just New York,
you knew limitations.
I knew my limits. I knew my limits. And it was just, it got to the point where I was like, and I'm one of those people, if I don't agree with someone's values, I don't need that job. I won't be there, because that's how I'm like, no, I can't stand for this. But what I realised, and this is where I had to learn my rights.
I realised. To come on to that, how did you find out about your rights as an employee?
What I realised is I didn't actually fall under the Normal Employee Act. I fell under the Disability Act. And it was because if you have a long-term illness and you're going to hospital for that long-term illness, you're actually classed as under the Disability Act. So I rang this company, and they said to me, I can take up a grievance. But a part of me was like, I don't know, I don't want to do that. So I ended up leaving the company, but I ended up
going forward, weren't you, from there on?
I ended up talking to the CEO of the company and telling him what's what. And I just left the company. And I think from then as well, I kind of knew my rights, and I knew what I can and can't do, and what
I think it's really important at this point just to kind of say that for anybody who's got a long-term health condition, find out your rights. Find out 100%. What you're entitled to.
Yes.
Because unless you know what you're entitled to, you're going to be having to deal with, hopefully not, but there may be employers out there who are not as understanding, who are not up to date with the latest, HR rules, regulations, and so on.
Yeah, it's true, because even when I spoke to the CEO, I said, in your contract it says this, but, you state this. And he said, I don't know what's in my contract. And that for me was quite alarming, because I thought, you're the CEO of the company, so how do you make these rules up? So that was alarm bells ringing for me at that point. And I knew that I couldn't stay here. And I could have taken up a grievance, I could have gone through that. I just
wanted to move on.
It's the stress of it. And I was like, I can move on. But I did say to them, look, you need to kind of change your rights here, because, if anyone else who has a disability comes in here and you treat them like this, I don't think they would be that nice as me. So, you kind of really need to think about that.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on your anxiety and depression and having counselling.
Yeah.
How long did that go on for? What triggered it? What triggered you to go and see somebody? Then when you thought, I really need to talk to somebody about this? What happened to set you on that road?
So I think, I was in college, and it was like on and off, like depression, anxiety from there. But I think I can't really remember like the ins and outs, but I know like I had a lot of pressure in college. I had a lot of my granddad had cancer then, and he was up in stages of passing away. So we had a lot going on. So I think that just really built up my anxiety, really built up my depression. And then I took and then I was just, and then I think and I kind of managed to deal with it, but I don't think I dealt with it properly. So it was just building and building and building. And I think for me, the physical impact on my health does not bother me at all. But I used to have a lot of people in my head, as in just, telling me stuff or doing stuff. And that was what really, really impacted me and my mental health.
Yeah, so it's other people's opinions, other people's voice. Yeah. Oh, you should be doing this. You shouldn't be doing this. Yeah. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Gets to you in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And then that layering impact effect starts to happen. Like you said, your grandfather wasn't well. You had your own health issues, then your grandfather not being well. So it's one gets laid on top of the other. And before you know it, you got crossed wires. You don't actually really know why you're feeling the way that you're feeling.
Yeah.
Having to, I think it's a brave step when somebody acknowledges and says, do you know what? I'm not right. I need to go and talk to somebody. I need to speak to somebody who can help me unravel all of this stuff and make sense of it. So the fact that you did that, is a huge thing, because not everybody can do that. And because there is a stigma in the UK.
Oh, yeah.
Going to therapy, counselling, there is a stigma that they're actually, why are you going there? What's wrong with you? Actually, because there's something wrong, I'm actually going to speak to somebody who can help me unravel the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, and it's been working for you, hasn't it?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I had some people, you get the odd few that are like, oh, why are you depressed? You should be grateful that you have a roof over your head and stuff like that. But it's it's not, it's not about that. It's, the deeper feelings. So that was the external factor, but I knew that there was something wrong and I needed help, and I took that action.
It's good that you did.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you for doing that. I mean, that's amazing.
Thank you.
Because it isn't an easy step to take, to acknowledge that your feelings are so entangled and you can't tell left from right, that you actually need to speak to a specialist who can help you work through all of this. So good for you. So where did you go from there then? So you've had the counselling and so on. You've dealt with an employer who really didn't understand about your disability. So you've moved on. What happened next? Where did you go from there?
Well, I kind of spun forward a bit, but after college, I did get accepted into university. And again, my health took over, and I couldn't actually, I left after 2 weeks because I couldn't cope.
When you say cope, do you think that was because of the anxiety and the depression more than your health, or?
I think it was. I think it was a factor of things. I've never been away from home, so that was oh my gosh, I'm on my own now, and it was a big factor. And I think I was just actually getting more tired in myself. Even just walking to my seminars and stuff like that, I was like, wow, I don't think I can do this. It's too much. And then just keeping up with the friends' lifestyle, the uni lifestyle. And I was like, I actually can't. I can't do this. But I think at that time as well, something was telling me that in my body as well, that I just didn't feel right. I had slowed down a lot. And then, that confirmed it, because about 3-4 months later, I actually had a clot in my lung.
Wow.
So I kind of knew that something was not right. And so, I think after the clot in my lung, which was in 2012, that's when I think it's really impacted me after. Because now I'm on all sort I'm on blood thinning tablets and stuff like that, and everything. So it's kind of really, really slowed me down after that. And then I was So I think that was in 2010. 2012 is when I actually got diagnosed with something called pulmonary hypertension. And pulmonary hypertension is it's an abnormal blood pressure that affects your lungs in the right side of your heart. And there's no actual cure for that. There's only a lung transplant. And I think in my case, I can't have just a lung transplant. It would be a heart and lung transplant, which would be quite dangerous. So there's no cure for that. And so I do take a tablet that basically they say it prolongs your life. But that headache actually, that tablet actually gives me headaches every single day. I've tried a lot of medication, but that's the only one that gives me the least side effects. So I've definitely slowed down in where I get headaches every single day of my life. And sometimes.
How do you live on a day-to-day basis? Because you've got all these different things going on in your body. And taking the medications, which is they're supposed to help you, but it's added something else on top of it. So how do you carry on it? How do you get where do you get the energy from? Where do you get the motivation to just get on with your life? Because a lot of people would struggle, I think. Because I'm just thinking about everything that you've dealt with up to date, from what you've told us. And it's like, I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I would have the drive or whatever it is to get out of bed every single day and do what you. So where do you get that from?
So I think there's a number of factors. Our parents are the most amazing people. And I really, really rate them for this. Like, as I was growing up, I had another sibling as well. So, it wasn't like, oh, she's got heart conditions, she can't do anything. It was, we're treating you the same. Cav, you're going to go wash up, you're going to do stuff. Like, they didn't treat me, they didn't mollycoddle me. Like, they, even after my operations, they're like, come on, like, get up. Like, let's do some stuff. Like, let's do this. Not like, oh, she's had an operation, let's leave her to it. Like, they were just tough love, which I really rate them for that, because I think without that, if I was mollycoddled a bit more, I would just be like, oh yeah, I've got heart condition. Like, I'm not going to do anything.
So do you think, from what you're saying then, their belief in you doing everything has dropped up on you, so you can do whatever you need to do. You just know your boundaries. There's no reason why you can't get up and do what your brother was doing, washing the dishes, playing football, whatever it was.
I mean, they knew that they knew that I would take a bit more longer than any other person, but they didn't treat us any differently. It was bit of tough love, which was good, which is what I needed, to be honest, because I think, like you said, otherwise I'd be sitting here being like, oh yeah, I can't do anything, I don't want to do anything. And I think the second factor is having faith. And like, even with my operations, I just had so much faith. I would listen to prayers every single day. So when I was going through my operations and stuff, like the doctors and nurse would be like, oh, do you want to take a calming tablet? I'm like, no, I've got my God here with me. I've done my prayers. And obviously, I do seek prayers. So I was like, God's with me, I'm fine. There's nothing to worry about, so I think faith and parents were like the biggest thing that kept me going.
I think it is really important to have that grounding, which is what your parents gave you. But that root that you can always go back to. It's like the root of a tree. It's solid, it's there. And you can go back to them time and time again, and they're always going to be there for you. They'll support you, but they're not going to put up with your rubbish. They'll be like, really, get and wash the dishes, kind of thing. Or really get up them stairs, or whatever it might be. And then on top of that is to have your faith. We all have to have faith in something, whether it's God, whether it's universe, whatever it might be. You and I are the same, same faith that seeks. So I know that having a faith, how much peace it can give you, and direction, and the calmness that you need as well on a day-to-day basis. So your parents plus your faith, winning factor, really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
To see,
and that's where I got my strength from, and that's what keeps me going every day. Definitely.
So what are you doing now? What are you doing? Where are you? I know you're blogging. What do you blog about?
So a couple of years ago, I started blogging because I wanted to actually raise awareness for not just like everyone not just on my heart condition, but anyone who has an invisible illness, because I know how much I've suffered from just having invisible illness and external factors, like even having like a disabled badge, how people are when you have an invisible illness because they can't see it physically. It's those factors that have actually like
spurred you on,
impacted me as well. In terms.
I think you've touched on something really important there, because I mean, and I'll put myself in this category when it comes to invisible illnesses. Like obviously with COVID, we all have to wear a mask, right? Unless you're medically exempt. Now, I see so many people on public transport without a mask on. I don't know if they have an invisible illness or not. The first thought that pops into your head would be, to why are you wearing a mask?
Yeah, of course.
But then I think, hang on a minute, I don't know if they've got a medical condition.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Like it's that silent condition, the one that nobody sees, that you're living with on a day-to-day basis. And I'll look at you, I'll be like, there's nothing wrong with her, she's fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know your history. So the fact that you're raising awareness on that is, again, it's really, really good, because myself included, we need to be educated on the silent, on the invisible conditions, which there are probably hundreds of thousands of that most of us don't actually know about.
And it's true, and that's fine as well, because we all do it, we all kind of I've had it, and I don't blame anyone, because we're only human, and it's just a bit of education, and just being like, actually, you know what, I just have a heart condition, and that's why I'm using the lift or something like that. And then people realize, and they're like, oh, okay, sorry, like we didn't know, and I'm like, that's absolutely fine. But it's just even knowing like which invisible illnesses are out there. And also, like, I raise awareness about, me wearing an SOS bracelet. And if you see anyone who's wearing this, that's, a sign of them having, like, an illness and stuff like that. So just raising awareness and even just supporting those people who have invisible illnesses to know, like, to have, like, that support and know that it's okay, and you can get up and you can do things if you want to, even if you don't want, that's fine as well, but just knowing that there is support out there. And I know you're doing amazing work in that area, and you're currently doing a walk, aren't you? To raise awareness. Money, awareness and money. A really good cause, a cause that's close to my heart, as you know. And I've done one of these inspired buys with Gurpreet in his tent, how he's shown his support for the farmers currently. So tell us a little bit about that, if you don't mind. Yeah, of course. So yeah, it's a cause that is close to all of our hearts, and I guess, like, what, it's in our DNA, like, just to, if you see someone struggling, you just automatically want to help, and you're like, oh my God, like, how do I help? And I think, like, I was just sitting back and watching, and I was like, what can I do to kind of just, raise awareness and show my support at the same time. So I decided to do a walk on my treadmill.
Which is no easy thing for you to do.
It's not easy. No, it's not easy at all. Like, I only do 50. So I say 15 minutes a day on my biography. And then I said, like, people must be thinking, why 15 minutes? But that's literally all I can do. And it's not even 15 minutes straight. It's like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. I can't do it like straight. So it's a massive struggle for me. But the way I see it is, okay, that's a struggle for me, but what these farmers are going through on a day-to-day basis is an even bigger struggle.
Yeah.
You know, I have this condition, but I have a roof over my head. I have the support. I have the, you know, support around me. I have doctors, I have nurses. They don't have anyone. Like, they, you know, as in, they are sleeping in cold conditions.
Yeah.
Just seeing old people, like, that could be our grandparents.
Absolutely.
And that's what, yeah. That's what
you don't have anybody taking away your livelihood.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't have, yeah, exactly. I don't have anyone taking that like, you know, down my livelihood, whereas they are impacted every single day. They are struggling every single day.
Yeah.
And so if I can like, you know, show my struggle for them, and share it, you know, I just want to, you know, raise and support awareness as much as I can. And also, like,
people, so many, sorry, I've interrupted you, but many people are inspired by what you're doing.
Thank you.
This is why I wanted you to come on and be an inspired guest, because there's so many different facets to you, you know, and you're just a force to be reckoned with. You really, really are. I know you don't realise it yourself, but believe me, myself and a lot of the ladies in the Inspire Club feel exactly the same. You are a force to be reckoned with. So
thank you.
I interrupted you there. You were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say as well, like, it's like even the farmers' families that are getting affected, you know, like some of them are like passing away, committing suicide, and just want to raise awareness of that as well, like, you know, how they are dealing with, you know, one, that their actual breadwinner has, you know, passed away, like how they're coping, you know, their children, how they're coping with education and stuff like that. So it's kind of like raising money in that factor as well.
So support families as well as who are at the front line, which is amazing. Yeah. Do you know what? You, as I said, you are literally awesome.
Thank you.
You are a force to be reckoned with. I'm so grateful to have met you and hear your journey today. I knew bits and pieces. I didn't realise the full extent of how much your life has been impacted by your condition, your invisible condition. I know I will be more careful before I think, why are you not wearing a mask, or why are you not doing this, or why are you not doing that, when I see somebody, because I don't know what they're going through. I have no idea. But what would you say if there was somebody in a similar condition, maybe younger than you or even older, who's struggling with the same condition as you? I know you said it's rare, but anybody with any kind of condition, silent or otherwise, invisible or otherwise, you know, what three things, what nuggets of wisdom would you pass on to them to keep them going, to keep them getting out of bed and, you know, going to work or going for a walk or something like that? What would you say? What three things do you think Kaveeta's wisdom could you pass on to them?
I guess it's just like, you know, like for me, it's, we only have like this one life, and are we gonna sit and let something take over us, or are we gonna just fight through it and I guess like fight through it and get up and wake up and do what you want to do? And I honestly feel like I'm here for a reason. I don't blame, like, I'm actually so grateful that I even have a heart condition. And I know most people probably think, what? Like,
that's going to be like...
But I'm actually grateful. I'm grateful that I've had it, because it's made me who I am today. It's made me strong. So for the people that are struggling, see it as, I know it's like a negative situation because it's impacting you, but see it as a positive of, like, I'm here for a reason, and what is my purpose? What is my passion? What can I do to kind of, I think for me, it was like more like educate, raise awareness, support, and help as many people as I can, and show kindness. Like, kindness is the greatest gift you can give anyone.
Absolutely. It doesn't cost anything.
yeah, so I think like for the three factors, it's just live each day, live in the now, live in the present. You know, I've always say you got this.
Yeah, you do.
And just be strong, and even if you are struggling and you can't get out, just for me as well, just reading books, reading, like meditating, just to get that out of that mind frame, on journaling and stuff like that really, really helps. So even if you feel like you're not getting out of the house, or you can't get out of the house, just put on something that you feel like you want to do, and what, because of physically it's probably affecting you, but mentally it's probably affecting you worse.
It is usually the emotional side that kind of takes over, and you get that downward spiral. But you know what, it's been such a joy.
Thank you so much for having me.
I've really enjoyed it, and you are amazing. Thank you so much for doing what you're doing, and keep doing what you're doing, because as I keep saying, you are an inspiration to so many people. And yeah, I just love you to bits. You know I do.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you. So, you know what, it's such an honor, and I'm just so grateful and blessed to have connected with you and so many amazing ladies. Like, what I've learned from this lockdown, I know like a lot of people, it's been like a roller coaster of ride and emotions, but what I have, if we didn't have technology, I mean, I've met some amazing people just by shielding. Like, it's been amazing, and I'm so grateful, and Absolutely. Thank you so much.
No, I second you on that, you know, all the way, because of technology, I've met amazing people, and you're one of them. Thank you so much for coming on
You're very welcome.
Inspired by series and being an inspired guest. Thank you everybody for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Please do share this information with anybody who you think might need not uplifted by Kaveeta and what she does. And if you want to get hold of her, you can find her on Instagram and so on. Kaveeta, before I sign off, what's your Instagram handle?
It's quite long.
I know.
It's a breathlessness and then _beauty.
So breathlessness_beauty.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's where you're going to find Kaveeta. You can send her DMs. I know she'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. And she'll give you support where she can. If not, she'll point in the direction of somebody who can. So thank you everybody for watching, and please do keep watching, and I will see you next time.